It's a drive, a dirty dozen. Jazz Chisholm goes deep.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. My name is Ryan Sampson, but he's the star of the show, Joel Sherman. Today's Monday, May 18th. The Yankees come off a series loss to the New York Mets in the Subway Series, and we're here to talk about it on today's episode. I'm sure there's a lot that we can get into here, but before we get to any of it, as always, on a Monday morning, I'm going to ask Joel Sherman, how are you doing today, sir?
Good. I always like, it's a long, Aaron Boone said this a few times over the weekend. It's a long season. And so when there's stuff that gets injected into it that really spices it up, like Mets Yankees, great. You certainly, it came at a good time in some ways, right? The Knicks were off for so long that, like, if the Knicks were playing all weekend, it might have gotten lost a little bit, but it had it to center stage until at least Tuesday night when the Knicks start playing again.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, Joel. And a lot of local New Yorkers were focused on this. And what a weird series. The fact that the Mets were in last place coming into this, reeling. I read your column on Post Sports Plus last night, or this morning, I should say. But just the interesting, I guess, dichotomy of it all, like the fact that the Mets are in last place, the Yankees look like one of the best teams in baseball for the first month and a half of the season, and it's been pretty brutal for the Yankees here on this Pinstripe Post for just this last week, exposing a lot of the weaknesses for the team. Before we get to the bullpen, I want to start with the catcher, Austin Wells, because this is part of my real or unreal part of the show that I want to start here, Joel. And there's some stats here that are quite alarming for Austin Wells in terms of the season that he's already having this year. Now, last year, we know that he was hitting around 215. He had 21 homers. It was not a great year for him. I know Aaron Boone said in the offseason we would like to see more out of him. But to start the year, this year, when you rank him, according to Fangraphs, out of 219 qualified hitters, he's just not doing as much damage as you would hope in that lineup. Right now, he is 148th in barrel percentage, 151st in FWAR, 153rd in weighted on base average, 164th in expected slug. He only has 3 homers this year, 167th in on base percentage. He's towards the bottom, like you could say, quadrant of qualified hitters amongst all baseball hitters. So, Joel, real or unreal, this feels like it's been a year plus now of Austin Wells at the plate. There's some things I saw over the weekend that were even more alarming in terms of swinging at the first pitch. We can get into that. But what are you seeing right now from Austin Wells and the offensive profile he is building right here?
Yeah, look, it's at this point now, it would be just doing sometimes what I think Aaron Boone at least does publicly for reporters, which is you cover your eyes and act like something isn't going on when it's so blatantly going on. It feels to me a little bit like Wells and Volpe have become the Yankees, Vientos and Beatty. Like it felt like it was going to be something, then it wasn't, then it was, then it wasn't, and you kind of off and on, and you don't know when to get off of that train because you do think that they're talented players. In the case with the Yankees, those are first round draft choices, albeit late in the first round, where it's generally hard to find real high end quality. But what's always going to be interesting is Wells now has some similar. I'm sorry for so many comparisons. To me, has some comparisons to Gary Sanchez in that his calling card was offense when he was drafted. Almost everyone I talked to when he was drafted and when he was a young player in the minor leagues thought he would be a middle of the lineup hitter, fourth, fifth, or sixth, but have to switch to first base or DH. To his credit, he worked his butt off and became an exceptional defensive catcher, especially when it comes to things like pitch calling and framing, etc. But we saw that with Gary Sanchez, where Sanchez came in, and I know people think of the freak show that maybe it became, which was strikeouts and homers, but he was just a flat out good hitter. And I think between the fact that the Yankees' philosophy then was launch it in the air to the pull side, which is generally a good philosophy, but I think really took away his whole game of that he hit the ball hard everywhere, and he'd hit a ton of home runs just because of his barrel rates and his exit velocity if they had been left alone. And then the other thing is they just wanted him to become a better catcher, which obviously you need from that position. You can't put a bad defender behind the plate in 2026. You can't. It's too exposed if you do. And Gary Sanchez got a little better. Austin Wells has gotten a lot better, but does it cost you on the other side of the ball, which is your calling card, that you put so much mental and physical wear and tear into doing this? to the point where you wonder, should the Yankees get to the point they do what the Marlins and the Rockies do and have somebody call the pitchers from the dugout, like just take something off of his plate because clearly if you're trying to resurrect him, how would you begin to even think to do that? To me, and I have not dug into these numbers, so I hope they're correct. But my sense is the ball is on the ground to the pull side too much with him, and it's in the air to the non-pull side too much. Like he is flying out pretty deep to left and center a lot. He does not seem like when he hits the ball hard, it's not in the air. It's not to the pull side right now. And I think he had. It's funny because I just criticized the Sanchez thing. I think he has to get back to getting the ball in the air to the pull side, especially at home, because you can live. Excuse me, Ryan. You can live with some OPS deficiencies,
Sure.
on base deficiencies, if he were hitting 20 to 25 homers.
Right.
And at a Yankee Stadium, his bat used to profile to that. And so if he was a really sound defensive catcher, and he is, if you go to something like DRS, he's among the leaders constantly. Uh, and it's a little bit like the Ryan McMahon situation. If he's defending and running the bases well and popping 20 to 25 homers, if you have a lineup of 9 Aaron Judges, you'll probably win the World Series. Everybody has players with deficiencies. What you want them to have is assets that make it hard for the other team to get through the lineup, where it can't just be, oh, this is the easy part of the lineup and throw in fastballs. We're getting out of this in 9 pitches. And so guys like McMahon and Wells have to hit the ball out of the ballpark a little bit. And if Wells isn't going to pull it in the air, out of the ballpark, he becomes a tougher player to play as much,
Right.
which then leads to a question of what would you do? This is the moment, forgive the language, Ryan. I know you let me curse on the show. It's like where I've called out the Yankees before is like, is it bullshit or not bullshit? Do you really believe
Hmm.
in JC Escarra? Do you really think he's one of the 10 to 20 best catchers in baseball? Because if I believe that and I watch Wells struggling the way he was struggling, Escarra would play a lot more. For
Why did they bring Wells in yesterday when Escara was starting a day game after a night game? And like to everything you're saying right now, Joel, a guy who's reeling at the plate in Wells, give Escara a run. Like you said, if you do believe in
Well, I
him,
think
give
that
him a
was
run.
part of getting what was, I thought, a really good ploy by Boone in the sixth inning when Manaea comes in. You're trying to leverage that inning as much as possible, and it went from 1-1 to 5-1, where he made a hockey change and got all his right-hand hitters up. I mean, Wells came in not to hit, but because somebody hit for Escara, all right? Was it Rosario hit for
Yeah.
for Escara, and I think ended up hitting a sacrifice fly. So I thought that tactically that was a strong move by Boone to try to seize on the Mets' weakest relief pitcher at a problematic time. And if you're going to have all those righties on the bench, that's the time to go after it. And it worked, right? Goldschmidt got hit. I think
Yes.
Rosario got a sacrifice fly, and Wells got in the game as a defensive replacement, not as an offensive
Hmm.
replacement. And of course, at the time, it's 5-1. You're not going to think that his next at bat or that final at bat when he hits into the 3-6-3 is going to be as big. That's a failure of the bullpen. Why his at bat turned out to be a big at bat. I would say, Ryan, the one thing I wouldn't do is I would not put Ben. I know I hear a lot from, I have so many friends who are Yankee fans. I
Don't
assume,
put Ben Rice back there. You can't.
yeah, you know me, Ryan. I don't go thumbing through the internet, but I assume when I hear from my friends who are fans, this is like I assume they're a chorus
Yeah.
of what's going on. Like you have such a good thing going with Ben Rice right now, and to chase a little more offense, I would not risk, because again, if part of our theory, and I do believe this is the theory, is that Austin Wells has lost his offense chasing elite defense at catcher. You need Ben Rice to be Kyle Schwarber. Like not just for today, because at some point Stanton is going to be gone, and the 1-2 in the middle of the lineup has got to be Judge Rice, and you feel like that's a strong duo. I mean, it is a strong duo. It might arguably be the best duo in this whole sport right now, offensively,
Yeah.
and he's playing okay at first base. You'd like it to be a little better. I get that. And by the way, I think if you start using Goldschmidt a lot, you'll get less. Uh,
Right.
and so this has got to be a you never did decide to find that right hand hitting catcher to be part of this.
Which are not easy to find, which you have highlighted plenty of times on this
Well,
show.
they're certainly not easy to find who are offensive guys too. You know,
Right.
you can find a lot of Austin Hedges in the world, but it's hard to find guys who can hit. But if you're going to tell me that you believe in Ascara to this level, and we have played this game, whether it's true or not, that these are the ruthless Yankees in 2026. And, you know, you've already changed out one of the fair-haired boys at shortstop. Then I'm going to either say do it or bullshit that you actually believe it.
I agree with you, Joel, and I think this is a real turning, like not turning point, but test for the Yankees at this point of the season, right? This is like the real slog. Like we're getting into it. You have one more coming back in terms of Gerrit Cole to help strengthen that rotation even further. We'll get into the bullpen and the how that gets affected here going forward. But obviously the Max Fried injury we can get into too. But the Wells part of this all, it's interesting that we have seen this player who came out so hot at the plate, like you said, and came up with an offensive profile, and it's just gone downhill ever since, and it has not come back to where it was when
And
he
they're
first
not,
came to the majors.
and I'm sorry I interrupted you, Ryan. One other thing I would do is I thought even when Wells was struggling at other points, the at-bats were good.
Mm-hmm.
He'd draw deep counts, he'd hit the ball crisply. He did not seem to be phased. It feels to me a little bit, starting in the World Series in 24, like that postseason, people were really attacking him up in the zone with fastballs. And again, is catching every day something that slows down his bat to try to speed up his bat? Does that make him susceptible to hooks and soft stuff? Um, he the at bat quality, which I used to admire, even when the surface numbers didn't match that quality. I don't think he's having good at bats now.
Oh, he's swinging at first pitch a lot, Joel. That's the problem I have right now too.
And I think that happens when you're afraid to go. Like he used to be a guy who was not afraid to go 3-2, 2-2, and work deep into a count. And he had good at bats. He's just you can't you were kind enough to dig up all the numbers on this, or you could just watch it. And if you're just watching it, I don't think your eyes are lying, and the numbers are and the metrics are verifying that the offense has cratered. And you have to seriously ask yourself if you're the Yankees now, what could we tolerate in exchange for what we love behind the plate in game calling and framing in particular? And if you really believe those are also strong qualities of a Scara, do you have to, like no catcher plays every day, but right now the balance is essentially like 4-1
Yeah,
to
it
at
is.
least change it either to 3-2 or 2-3 for a little while as a reset for Wells to see if something could be done because
There's no way you could be actually worse than what Wells is right now. He is the
it,
worst in terms of what he's doing at the plate. So
it's
Escara,
bad offense. You can't again, the numbers in the eye test are verifiable on this.
I
They're
mean, think about it, Joel. Yesterday, you pointed out Volpe, right, draws the walk to get the run in against Manaya. And what does Wells do when he comes up to the plate after him? He swings at the first pitch, a soft comebacker to the pitcher, gets out of the inning. It's like, work the at bat. The guy just walked a run in against Volpe. Like,
and wasn't competitive, by the way.
right. So that's
Wasn't
where, like, I
competitive.
think mentally wondering, like you're saying, like,
Well, I
is he
think what
just
he's thinking is he's just frustrated and walked Volpe and not competitive. And now he has a left on left situation. I think Wells is trying to ambush and think I'm going to get a cookie like to get ahead before he tries to get to his sweeper. And I'm going to try again. I didn't ask
no?
Austin I
Yeah,
talked to Wells after the game, but I didn't ask him about that specific at bat. I think if I were guessing along, I'm thinking he's thinking I'm sitting fastball and I'm going to try to. The problem is he is hitting the ball on the ground too much and he is not pulling it in the air.
yeah.
That's the problem. Is I'm fine with the thought process there. I'm going to get a cookie. Like again, it's not in front of me. Like if I looked at the three-dimensional pitch, Was it a fastball and was it right down the middle? And if it is, that's kind of scary also because if he's setting up for that pitch and got that pitch and the best he could do was a meek dribbler, that says something also. The first pitch thing there doesn't bother me because I'm like,
Okay.
oh, because I think you should probably be thinking in that situation ambush. Like
Yeah, to an
like
extent.
you make a small again, you might have the time to go look at it right now. Does he get a pitch? Like if
Yeah.
he makes the strike zone really small and says, if I see heat in this specific spot, I'm trying to go grand slam right here and end all doubt about this game. I don't really have a problem with it. The problem is, did he chase something? Or did he
I,
not see a fastball? Or did he not see a pitch right down the middle?
it was a little bit low, but he it was in the strike zone, and I hear you. He's hunting that meatball right there.
And was it a fastball, not a sweeper?
It was a fastball, not a
Yeah, so I
sweeper.
think
So
he's thinking heat low in my joy zone, in the strike zone. And that, in a way, is worrisome because his thought process is met by the pitch and he still can't do anything with it.
right, maybe it's a timing thing with him. Like you said, he's not great with the off speed pitches right now too. I think Boone said it yesterday, like he's ahead of the off speed stuff in terms of his approach, maybe at swinging. So right now it just feels very much like this is more real of what we're seeing of
So
Austin
it's
Wells.
been a couple of years now, Ryan.
Yeah.
I think since the 24 postseason, his at bat quality. Because one of the blessings is if you watch teams a lot, and I see a lot of baseball, but obviously I see the Mets and Yankees the most, is you could, if you fixate on it, how many times on this show before the numbers showed it Ben Rice is just having good at bats, man.
Hmm.
He's having good at bats. He's swinging at the right pitches. He's not afraid to get deep into a count. He's not overwhelmed by lefties. Like everything you'd want was there except for the numbers. And I was just like, the numbers have got to follow this. And for a while, that was Austin Wells too. And that is not him anymore. I don't expect a turning of the page positively because I'm not seeing good at bats.
No. And like you said, the internal solution is not there right now with Ben Rice. You want to keep him what he's doing right now at first.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't mess
JC
with that.
Esquera, I
I
would like
wouldn't
to see him get more
create a
playing time.
problem solving a problem.
Yeah, and I would give Esquera more time. Just like see what if you have something there because if this continues to mount the way it's going right now, Joel, I'm sure they're going to try to address it at the trade deadline, but there's no automatic answer there either. Like you pointed out, Ryan, there's not many answers or solutions that you're going to find at the deadline. They're going to make an immediate impact like you would hope at catcher. The reason, again, I'm picking on Wells here is just because there's a compounding effect right now with this lineup, it feels like, Joel. It feels like, obviously, it's very top-heavy with Rice, Judge, and Bellinger. Right now, it's Stanton out. Dominguez going down with the injury. You're asking a ton out of a rookie in Spencer Jones' first time in Major League action. But guys like Wells, you would hope have a step forward. And then when you look at the other guys in the lineup in Ryan McMahon and Trent Grisham, it's a third of your lineup, Joel. That's really a huge problem right now. So with McMahon and Grisham, like they're not getting anything out of those guys right now either.
So so I think McMahon is a problem, like offensively. And I think without opening a can of worms, but I'm happy to have the conversation, is when Caballero comes back, Volpe's at bat quality, for whatever it's worth, for 3 or 4 games, has been pretty good. Uh, are you a better team using Caballero how you imagine using him and starting him 4 or 5 times a week, twice at shortstop, once where the third baseman are essentially him and Rosario, and maybe you defend late with McMahon and not worry if it's a lefty or righty starter. And Caballero gets a start in the outfield. And maybe there's a tough lefty, he gets a start for Jazz and puts Jazz on the bench. But like, I'm not taking away. I still think I would go back to Caballero at shortstop. I think he kind of earned something, but I just wonder if his best use is still as a 4 or 5 time a week guy. Definitely start against all the lefties, and when he's not starting, if it's a close game, he's going to get in the game anyway because his speed is going to get him on the field, or his defense is going to get him on the field. And if Volpe's going to have good at bats, you kind of lengthen the lineup that way. It's just I don't really believe in Volpe. Like we've lived the roller coaster for a couple of years, and so I'm not going to let a kind of weekend of great at bats convince
A
me that
weekend
that's
against the
what it
Mets,
is.
Joel.
Yeah, a
Like,
weekend of great at bats, of good. But against the Mets, the one thing I would say is, it's against the Mets, but there's a lot of attention on these games. Like this
right.
is some really, and like whether it's worth it or not, they weren't competitive pitches, but he didn't go flailing. He went from 0-2 to a RBI walk in that situation. He had good at bats. I still don't think Caballero should lose his starting spot. But if I have a way to address McMahon a little bit in a way that I don't really have with Wells. And
Yeah,
and Caballero and Rosario are part of that.
sure.
Like, can I just have McMahon against certain righties that I think he'd hit and late in the game I put him in to defend at third and I move Caballero to short and I take Volpe off the field. Again, if I'm being ruthless and thinking about how I'd play a 9 inning game like that. The Grisham one is I I'm I'm a little in the middle on it, only because uh, he is on pace to drive in 90 and walk 90 times. And if I had told you nothing else before the season,
Yeah,
Ryan, except
yeah.
for Trent Grisham is going to walk 90 times and drive in 90 runs, what do you think? You go, holy cow, where do I sign up for that? So there's that. The underlying numbers are still good. To me, he's got two problems. He is way too passive in the waiting for the exact pitch he wants to get to. He is 0-1, 0-2, 1-2 too much. And then he's looking at strike three an awful lot also in this complete search. Like at some point, you've got to abandon, especially with two strikes, you got to abandon your strike zone discipline and make sure the at bat extends a little bit. That's one. And number two, he's putting the ball. And again, it's not in front of me, so maybe the numbers would disprove this. But I feel like watching him, the ball is on the ground a lot. And his success last year was he was getting the ball in the air, especially at Yankee Stadium. And that was real advantageous. Now, I think he's playing a much better center field this year than he played
Defensively, absolutely.
last year. I still think he's going to walk 90 times. He's going to drive in 75 plus runs. He has, even in the badness of this, he's had a lot of clutch hits again this year. He had a ton last year. So I know he's not afraid to play. And I know there'll be a lot of screams for keep Spencer Jones, bring Dominguez. I'm not quite sure that they're not getting enough. Like, they're not getting enough from McMahon and Wells. I think if McMahon and Wells were both 93 OPS plus guys, we would look at Grisham a lot less, or maybe we wouldn't because like we always have to find something to be miserable about. But like I still think there are things in Grisham's profile as a player on both sides of the ball that is generally helpful. And with a chance, if the underlying numbers ever play,
Right.
but I think the only way, like, this is where the metrics could fool you
Yeah.
because I think the underlying numbers show a guy are different. If you watch him, he simply is being too passive on balls in the strike zone, hunting a perfect pitch to me, and the ball is on the ground too much when he makes contact. If he could get the ball back in the air, I still think he ends up a very useful player and not and I think McMahon and Wells are bigger issues than Grisham. And this is always that confounding thing with me also, right? Is there's a player I wouldn't have gotten included in the trade. I wouldn't have tendered him. Like there's all these things. He's not my cup of tea.
Sure.
I think that there's an anger generally about Grisham because of the like kind of laconic style. And that gets mixed up with what he's actually producing. And if he walks 90 and drives in 90, that's a pretty good season almost, no matter what else he does. And I think he's got a shot at it.
Okay. So the Grisham thing, again, I hear you on the underlying metrics, but I also think there's a
Well, there's
point.
no underlying metrics on RBIs and walks. He's on pace to walk and over 90 times and drive in over 90 runs. Those are real things. And like a lot of his walks are in front of Rice and Judge, and walking in front of Rice and Judge is not an easy thing either.
It feels like it's not been that way though lately with him. Like it feels like he's been kind of dropped in the order sometimes just because against the tough lefty, I get it, but I think you're kind of doing a little bit of damage to your lineup here with him leading off every game because I just don't see it right now, in my opinion.
So who does the leadoff
Trent
guy
Grisham
become in your world?
I don't think they have it right now. Like,
Right, but you can't put in a lineup card without a leadoff guy.
100%.
Put somebody there, and against righties, I still think he's the right answer comparatively.
I would argue you're better off putting it when Dominguez is healthy. I would put him at leadoff, and I would just write him in as the leadoff guy every single day because I think if
and
Dominguez
play Bellinger in center.
And I would play Bellinger and Sarah because, like you said, this is supposed to be the Yankees that don't give a crap about feelings and whatnot.
Except for that Bellinger is the best left fielder in the majors. He has, for a guy who's had some injury stuff in the past, he has stayed healthy in that spot. He's given, like, it's a little like my Rice thing. I'm just like to search for it to fix something else. Am I creating a bigger problem? To me, Rice and Bellinger are part of the success story of the 2026 Yankees right now. Bellinger, is he fully back to 2000? Was it 19 or 18 MVP with the Dodgers? Bellinger, probably not quite there. But this is a get MVP down ballot guy like last year, and he's just I think the comparison, I made it in print. I think I made it with you last week. He's very OG Anunoby to me. He just does a lot of really good things. There's nothing he's not good at on a field or a court. And I don't want to fix one
to create another problem.
And not only create another problem, but like begin to hit at what is an asset. I mean, Bellinger and Rice are two of the reasons with this feels like it's going to be a 100% complaint show. The Yankees still have the second best record in the American League.
Right, but there's trends, Joel, that you're talking about, that we're talking about here that are bad, really bad.
They're really bad, but they're bad every year. Every team goes through it. The Dodgers just sucked for a while. They're still going to win 95 plus games. And this is part of the ebb and flow of the season and overreacting to it. And by the way, I'm agreeing with you. I think Wells is an issue. I think McMahon is an issue. I'm willing to have the Grisham conversation. But what I'm not willing to do is things are going great at these places. I'm now going to see if they continue to go great with those players. Rice, if I give him catching equipment, and Bellinger, if I give him more physical stuff to do in the middle of the diamond. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
I don't want to disrupt it. The big things that the reason that I haven't completely fallen off the earth with some of the real problems in the bullpen and some of the real problems in the length of the lineup, I don't want to mess with that.
Okay. I hear you on that with not messing with Bellinger. I agree with you on the Rice thing. I have from day one.
I mean,
it feels unfortunate timing, right? Like the whole Dominguez injury. If he didn't get hurt, and mind you, if you don't want to play him in center, there's a way around this. If you still want to keep Grisham in the lineup, I'd put, let's say if in all scenarios here, Dominguez were healthy and Grisham were still playing, I'd move Grisham down and I'd make Dominguez my DH because we don't know when Giancarlo Stanton's coming back. I have a feeling like this could be a very long injury for him and he may not come back till July. I mean, he's not even running yet fully. So it's unfortunate timing for the Dominguez injury because I think that he was actually starting to hit and show some promises at the plate, maybe from the right side of the plate as well. The solution's not there right now. I'd be interested to see if Spencer Jones can get more playing time just because you don't know what you have there yet. You want to see more from that.
I don't
think Trent Grisham is doing everything here so that you would want.
Look, if Spencer Jones went off for about the next 10 days, and you said to me, would you play Spencer Jones in center field and put Grisham on the bench? I'd say, all right, let's have that discussion. I just don't want to move Bellinger there. I don't want to move Bellinger there. I don't want to move Judge back there. Like I feel like you have the best left field, right field, corner outfield situation in the sport.
Yeah.
And center field is hard to find. Like keep in mind, I do think if the Yankees don't bring back Grisham, Luis Robert Jr. is their answer. Like these guys are hard to find. Center field is not a great position in the major leagues. It's not just the Yankees who are struggling at that position. And maybe it will be a younger player. I do wonder with, say, the way AJ Ewing and Carson Bench are playing, that
Ewing's fun,
even
man.
when Robert Jr. comes back, is he definitely the everyday center fielder? And by the
If
way,
these guys keep playing like this,
you talk about Stanton. Let's play a little game. Who takes
sure.
the bat in the major leagues first, Stanton or Robert?
I don't know. The Robert was very discouraging when
Yes, it's a
Mendoza said this past
back
week.
like calves. I know how calves heal. Backs are like mysteries.
Hmm.
And uh, it was baked into the acquisition cost on Robert. The Mets essentially gave up nothing except for to take on the 22 million. And because he's an often frustrating and often injured player. And that was baked into the White Sox were happy to get out of the 22 million for a
Yep.
marginal return. And Robert, unfortunately for the Mets, has played to one of the worst of his qualities, which is he doesn't. And by the way, we have to think about that as freaky as the last one was. Like Dominguez does have trouble staying on the field.
He does. It's
Part of
really
like if you want to make plans, it was can I sidetrack here quickly?
sure.
So we were bullshitting with Steve Cohn on the bench. Maybe before game two, a couple of reporters, and he said something. We were talking about the loss of Alonso and Nimmo to me. Like, I understand why the Mets did it. Because it wasn't just a 2026 decision. It was a bigger picture decision. But when you move on from players with durability, you then realize, oh, when you don't have durability, you got to figure out every day who's playing positions. One of the reasons the Yankees were a dynasty back in the Jeter Torre era was Torre was not an aggressive manager, and it was easy to be somewhat passive when you knew. I write in Tino Martinez's name every day. I write in Derek Jeter's name every day. I write in Scott Brosius's name every day. I write in Paul O'Neill's name. I write in Bernie Williams' name. Jorge Posada was like the most durable catcher in the sport.
Mm.
You write in his name. Well, I got to kind of worry about like a couple of positions. And it's not, one of the blessings of the Derek Jeter era for the Yankees was you never had to know the name of the backup shortstop. The starting shortstop was playing 155 games. Who cares which Enrique Wilson to be named later was going to be the backup shortstop in that time. And durability, the ability to get on the field is the most underappreciated vital thing in the sport. Go look at the games played right now for the Braves regular players. And I think they might be sitting with the best record in the major leagues. And part of it is like Olsen plays every day, Albies plays every day, Drake Baldwin plays every day, Austin Riley plays every like the manager, Walt Weiss, the first year manager for them. He has 100 things on his plate, about six positions on the field he never has to think about.
Yeah.
And that's just a long way of saying at some point, Dominguez is going to have to show he's a guy who could stay healthy for about 160 straight days to kind of earn something.
Yeah, I think obviously the UCL his rookie year was really freakish.
Right.
And then
There's
running
been
into the
freak. There's been freak, but there's people who get hurt even freak more than other people.
absolutely, no doubt. Stanton's definitely one of them, too, by the way. Like he just unfortunately cannot stay healthy in the lower half of his body as well. It's that grinder moment, right? Like let's see what happens with Spencer Jones. Can he get more? Can he get something out of him? Volpe's still going to
Bats
be
were
playing.
pretty good over the weekend.
I thought so too. So I would just
I
love to
thought him
see.
and Volpe, like if you were looking for I know this is not going to be a silver lining show. I know when the Yankees lose 2 out of 3, Yankee fan Ryan Sampson isn't going to be happy. But I thought Volpe took good at bats, and I thought Spencer Jones, unfortunately, one of the really, really good at
Yeah,
bats, he hurt Clay Holmes,
yeah,
which I feel I do think Clay Holmes is a good dude. And he was having a really, really good year in what could be a walk year for him because he could opt out of it at the end of the year. And he was the Mets' best, most consistent player from day one. Like ultimately, Soto will be better than him, Lindor will be better. But in this specific quarter of the season, he was their best player. And it was kind of a dev. And can I just dovetail off that real quickly by saying it's part of the problem of the Yankees losing the last two games. I've done this a long time, Ryan, and I don't know if I've ever been around a team that was more defeated, despondent, and resolved bad things than the Mets were Friday night and Saturday morning before the second game. It felt like, I don't really love cliches, but it felt like the straw that broke the camel's back when Holmes got hurt, where it was just like I've known Carlos Mendoza a long time. He's from the Aaron Boone school of I could explain to you why a wilted rose is beautiful. And he was it felt like he had taken the body blow that was going to not allow him to get up. Like, I could figure out how to get through Soto. I could figure out how to get through Lindor, Polanco, Robert. Not this guy, not how it happened. Not like now when the starting pitching feels like the way we could get back into this race. And that the Yankees let that team off the mat
Matt.
is really, let's give credit where it's due. Credit to the Mets for deep breath and finding the way to win those last two games. But the Yankees had a team that was pretty close to mentally, to me, checking out. This
Yep.
is not usually what you see in May from a baseball team.
Yep.
But I saw in that clubhouse, um, and the words and the body language and the facial expressions were, we are just about checked out of this thing.
Yeah.
And the Yankees breathed life into the Red Sox last year by going into Fenway and there was a short period, I think, where they lost like 6 out of 7 to Boston, just as their season was taking the bad U-turn it takes almost every year before they get it back together. And maybe they're doing that now again. And maybe they just breathe some life, and they need to be careful over the next couple of days whether they breathe some life into the Blue Jays or not.
It's Toronto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting is Juan Soto was really, really struggling. And then the day before the Yankee series started, Soto perked up and then he was good over the weekend. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was really, really struggling. And then yesterday he had a big day. And there's nothing Vladimir Guerrero likes to do better than torture the Yankees. And he's come in for 3 days. And so, hey, this is the season. It's a grind. And they're in a terrible period. This was a really unacceptable road trip on multiple
Yeah.
levels. How they just went 2-7. They have a moment back in the place where they play best, Yankee Stadium. Their team is built for this, and at some, they can deliver a really. Nobody gets knocked out at this point, but they could really hurt the Blue Jays, or they could really hurt themselves and help the Blue Jays over the next 3 days.
Yeah, no doubt. This is, again, these is why they play the games. We're going to see the results here, but I will say that turning point, Joel, was definitely in the, I think, seventh inning when the bases are loaded, nobody out, and the Yankees just go 1, 2, 3, a couple strikeouts, then a ground out, and it's like that was your chance to really blow this game and get it blown wide open and get back into
Yeah,
it. But
I think it was way before that.
okay, I mean,
It was Carlos Rodon.
Rodon throwing the ball past. Let's get into Rodon here. It's like, hang on.
It's Carlos Rodon is in total control of the game. Uh, and Luis Torrens, he ends up striking out, but he fouls off 4 or 5 two-strike pitches. He has a 10-pitch at bat. At that point, Rodon has gone through the Mets lineup 1 through 9, allowed 1 hit, thrown 50 pitches, though, 10 of them to Torrens. And at that point, he felt like a guy who was spent.
Yep.
And now, to me, is that a guy working back off a surgery, and that is he in fully good shape? Is it that like what happened there? Because he just lost control of the ball and in some ways control of the game for the Yankees. Because again, the Mets head was down. This is, you just keep throwing strikes. He failed to do that. He gave up a hit, then he walked a couple, then he threw the terrible wild pitch. And to me, like
He doesn't throw to
it,
contact,
it,
Joel.
it
Like
was it was
you said
it
this.
was bad Carlos Rodon. When we
It
see
was
bad Carlos Rodon, like everyone will look back and say, well, doesn't give up a lot of hits. And I'm like, yeah, but the walks count, the bad counts count, the wild pitch counts. It all
he
counts. And that was not good. And they're gonna obviously he's not being I know that there'll be because again, I have friends who are Yankee fans who are already, shouldn't Rodon go to the bullpen? And I'm like,
No, no,
and I'm
stop,
like, and I'm
stop.
like, Rodon is in the rotation, and is going to need to be supported until he builds back. And the Yankees going to have to hope that what he builds back to is what he has been the last 2 years, which is really, really a good
Yes,
starter who's given them a lot of good quality length. Is this part of a process, or like, has he lost a little something post surgery? Like these are there's a
good questions.
question around him, and even in the 2 years where he pitched well, like I think the first year always is going to make people go, Carlos Rodon, do I really trust that? Do I? And so I felt like the first thread that was lost in that game was post the Torrens had one of the best at bats I've ever seen for that ended in a strikeout and that had meaning moving forward. He really, that's your ninth place hitter, really taking something out of the starting pitcher. I thought it was a hell of an at bat.
Yeah, I look, Rodon is definitely frustrating these first two starts because I think for me, I always think back to when you first talked to me about him. He doesn't pitch to contact in situations. He tries to go for the strikeout too much. I felt like that's exactly what he was trying to do. I know he lost gas against Torrens and in that inning, but like I just wish he would pitch more to contact. Like get the ground out. Let your defense that's actually pretty solid behind you make some plays.
Yep. Can I throw in one other thing? I do think that, and this is so Monday morning quarterbacking. I want to say this because I have a rule, right? If I don't think of it while the game is happening in real time, I don't write it because I don't
Okay.
think it's fair that they have to make the decisions in real time. Like I should be locked in the game as well.
Sure.
And if I don't think of it in real time, I won't write it. But as I thought about it afterwards, if I know Carlos Rodon and I see double right after the 10 pitch at bat, either Wells and or Blake should go out and give him a little breath and say, hey, 2 outs, one on, take a deep breath here, man. Like I think he's facing Bichette in that situation. Let's not get to Soto here. Make sure Bichette hits the ball someplace. I'd rather Bichette hit a 2-run homer than walk. Make sure, take a deep breath. Bichette's kind of like in a bad place right now. You can attack him and get an out. You can't walk him. And to me, I felt like veteran pitching coach, veteran catcher, but also veteran writer. I should have thought of it in real time. I didn't think of it in real time, but in retrospect, I was like, that would have been a good moment to just go out to emotional Carlos Rodon, maybe a little tired Carlos Rodon, and say, hey, man, deep breath. You got 30 seconds here until the umpire comes up on my back.
Sure. It's it was not a good outing for him. Let's go to the rest of the rotation. Not the rest of the rotation, but just the Max Fried of this all. We hear about the bone bruise in the elbow after we get the diagnosis of it. Short term, long term, Joel, what do you think, like, how this will impact them? I know Gerrit Cole's probably like what, 2 weeks away. Feels like they can absorb the blow. I thought, yesterday you got a better outing compared to the first two from the rookie and Elmer Rodriguez, but how does this Yankees rotation take the blow of Max Fried, who's been one of the best pitchers in baseball the last year and a half?
Yeah, let's even say that. Like I actually thought within the context of the game that Boone, managed a good game. He went and got Cruz to make sure that is it Rodriguez or Cruz
It's
now?
Elmer Rodriguez. Yeah.
Rodriguez, right? So he wouldn't face Soto the third time. He brought in
Yep.
Yarborough. Yarborough got Soto. So like he was very aggressive in this game. Again, he did the line change in the sixth inning. I thought he did a good job. Uh, yeah, look, if the Yankees and Fried are to be believed, this is his ligament is sound, and this is a repetitive kind of motion injury. He did have the biggest workload of his career last year, and if all things being equal, that the Yankee rotation remains a strength while Fried is absent, it's never good not to have Max Fried in your rotation if you're paying him, but there might be a blessing if this is a month, 6 weeks, and sometime late June, early July, he resurfaces and he gives you the last 3 months fully healthy. Because I do think this is an area they have depth and quality. Uh, But now the next injury, which almost certainly will come, becomes a little more troubling, right? Because Fried is so good,
Yeah.
and like, who will that injury be? How long will they be gone? Like, you're not getting out of Dodge alive, pretty much. You're going to usually have multiple pitching injuries, and you hope that you kind of like the one you have is like just as Fried comes back, that's when it's an injury and it's a hamstring, it's not an elbow or something like that, But
You say that all the time. You're like, it always works itself out, and I can't believe it's going to work itself out
so it's
again
gonna.
here.
That's why, like, I get what we do. We're a content machine. We're going to talk about content of, oh, what's going to happen if, but we almost never get to the if.
And that big
And
if for
by
me, Joel, is the Gerrit Cole, Max Fried together
yeah,
in one rotation. We still haven't seen it yet. Like, we just
hasn't
want
happened
that.
yet. It's a little bit like I think it was two turns through the rotation ever that the Mets got the five starters. When it was Matz, Wheeler, Syndergaard, Harvey, and DeGrom.
Harvey, DeGrom.
Two times, two rotation turns. That's, hey, if we could only get to that. Well, you know what the thing is? You're not. You're not. And even some of the stuff is like, when is Dominguez coming back? When he's back, are the other three outfielders going to be healthy? What's going on with Spencer Jones? Like I get it. I know what we're doing here. But like most of this stuff resolves itself. Like it did to some degree with Volpe in Caballero just played well enough
Played
to,
well.
there was no other decision.
No.
There was no other decision. And by the way, like for the next few days, if Volpe plays really well against Toronto after a really good series against the Mets, he might like it might be like what I said. Hey, what if we just use Caballero how we expected to, which is play him a ton, but do it this way, and that's how you get McMahon. I just think through performance, non-performance, and injury, most stuff answers itself.
Yeah, and then one thing with Gerrit Cole is yes, in his rehab start 2 days ago, we saw him touch 99. I saw, or was it Friday? But like, got the gas, Joel. Looks like he's looking pretty damn good.
So I do I talked to Cole quite a lot in spring training. We talked about Justin Verlander at an advanced age, came back from Tommy John and won the Cy Young and defeated the usual stuff that comes with the um, post Tommy John, which is your arm feels great, but you kind of lose a little command, and it takes like about a year to kind of like your arm feels great, but you've lost that thing. I think as much as possible, like Cole played with Verlander, he's as much thought and science you could put into something that's unpredictable. He's been trying to do to know Gerrit Cole is to know there might be people who think about pitching as much as him, but nobody thinks about pitching more than him. And I think he is trying with this rehab to be, because I think there's no doubt he could have pitched earlier than this in the major leagues. And I think the calculus is one, hey, if we're in the postseason, I want to make sure I can make 3 to 5 starts in the postseason. So let's count backwards. Like if I think I got 20 starts in me, let's make it 15 in the regular season and five in the post, something like that. Kind of like Ohtani last year,
Mm-hmm.
who clearly could have pitched in April and May and didn't pitch till June. So I think that that's part of the calculus here. But I also think part of the calculus is let me work out some kinks down here because the Yankees and him keep using interesting language. And I'm very attuned. Like I try to actually listen to what people say because it's very revealing. And there's been times in this rehab where they say today is a day he's going to try to be competitive. In other words, like he's going to try to pitch like the game is on the line. And then there have been times he's like, no, he's out there, touch, feel, working on stuff. And I think that he's done the right thing. He's used his rehab to work on both his mindset. Okay, today's game day. What would that look like if I have to go? And also, like, hey, this is double A, and I've got to win games in the major leagues at the highest level. I'm using today to be like, how locked in on my picket, breaking ball can I be? On my chain, whatever. And using it in situations he would never use it. in a game. So I think there's a lot of thought that has gone into this rehab, and I think he's trying very, very hard to defy some of the bugaboos that go with post Tommy John return to major league pitching. And I'm fascinated to see his pitching hunger and pitching brain put to this test and see if he actually can defy it. Because, like if he's Gerrit Cole, there's so many ifs here, but if he's Gerrit Cole and Schlittler is going to pitch like the AL Cy Young winner, it's a pretty strong 1-2 to begin any series in a regular season or a postseason.
No doubt. No doubt, Joel. It was crazy seeing Gerrit Cole, the pictures beforehand. 4 shots of espresso in his Starbucks cup, just down to that before. It different levels.
I promise no brandy. It's all good cafe.
Different levels for different people, man. That's a lot of caffeine. Joel, let's talk about this bullpen. Look, Bednar hangs the curveball. I read what you wrote there. I thought that was really interesting. The fact that he's been burnt on that first pitch curveball now twice, and the fact that they probably opposing teams are doing the scouting report and how he's trying to get that first pitch strike and potentially using the curveball in that first pitch. So talk to me about Bednar and also just the question marks that are surrounding him. I mean, the Yankees have blown a couple of leads here. They've gave up a couple of walk-off wins here in the last week. This bullpen that we were concerned about has really reared its ugly head this last week.
Yeah, so there's a lot there to unbundle. I'll give my friend and podcast partner, John Heyman, credit. He has consistently said since spring training that Bednar is a setup man and not a closer. I think there's some John Wetland in him, if you remember. I mean, John Wetland was a high wire closer, and he landed most of the planes across the wire, whatever tortured analogy you'd like here. But like in 1995, Buck Showalter stopped using him in the postseason because he just lost belief in him. And in 1996, I think he went 7 for 7 in closing games. He won the World Series MVP. I think he got a save in all 4 Yankee wins. And so, could Bednar be that kind of guy? Maybe. I think they probably need better. The question is better in the house. Is it Ryan Weathers at some point? Is it Carlos Lagrange at some point? That's a lot to ask. Neither guy has real
Sure.
experience pitching late, but they obviously have big arms. So there's that. I think you mentioned, thank you, that you read the column a few times. If we were sitting and making a list today of the best relievers we think will be traded in July, just based on where the Red Sox are now, they look like a team that would sell. Aroldis Chapman has been kind of great for the Red Sox the last year plus. He's probably a trade candidate if this continues. I know the Yankees found a way to kiss and make up with Marcus Stroman. I just don't think they'll ever kiss and make up with Aroldis Chapman. I don't, or that he would ever want to come back here. He really, I think by the end, hated it here.
And why would the Red Sox help the Yankees ever?
And why would the Red Sox help? Though they've made a few more moves than you kind of like.
Elmer Rodriguez.
Yes. But they'd probably want Elmer Rodriguez back if they
Sure.
were Chapman. So there's that. Big picture, I always try to encourage Yankee fans like yourself, don't be myopic. Look around the league. Like, there are not a lot of good bullpens. The Yankees are part of a systemic problem that's come from how we use pitchers in this sport, which is starters don't go deep, and we turn day after day to guys, and we ask 3 or 4 guys to be really good every day. And the chances of guys who are relievers to start with because they don't have command or they don't have multiple pitches to be good, 4 of them to be good in any day or 3 of them to be good is not great. And if you go down in quality at all, it gets worse and worse, or you have a couple of injuries, it gets worse. I do think the Yankees have this problem. It's a trust issue. And I thought about it a lot over the weekend. So we think of the Yankees as ruthless this year, but the reality is the Mets have 3 pitchers on their staff, or they did until Holmes got hurt, who Aaron Boone removed as closer at some point. So he had been ruthless before. The problem now is if you removed Bednar, say you thought hey, you know what? I think Bednar's better in the 8th than the 9th. Are you letting
Who the hell? Yeah,
You're
who the
letting
hell you
them
put in the
go.
ninth?
So that's the problem is like when he removed Chapman, say he had Holmes. When he
Right.
removed Holmes, he had Weaver.
Weaver, he had
When he removed
Williams.
Williams, had Weaver.
Yeah,
When he removed Weaver, he had Bednar.
Bednar.
And like there is not the obvious, oh, if you look left, and there's just a lot of breath holding with all of these guys. The overall statistics on players like uh, Hedrick, Bird, Cruz are good, but it's not the feeling you get when you watch them pitch. You did until about a week ago, until this road trip, Hedrick was doing great. The question was, is that the best month that he's ever going to have as a reliever? Was he overused in that 4 to 6 weeks because he was pitching well? The only guy who is really trustworthy, because he's never going to change his identity, is Hill.
Tim Hill, yeah.
You know, he's going to throw the ball. And like even yesterday, like he loses on a ground ball to the middle infield. If they don't run into each other, is Schumann able to make a play? I don't know.
Is it
Maybe.
Volpe's ball? Is it Schumann's ball? Whose ball is
I,
that?
I think that's Schumann's ball because he's on his
I
forehand,
agree.
and would have momentum coming towards the plate. But that's obviously not. Can you imagine how much do you practice infield in five infielders? Like you do
Right.
have to give some grace someplace. And like you understand why both guys are devilishly going after the ball. You can't make an assumption there or have a priority list. Hey, you go in front, I go in back kind of thing. So I think that's kind of like bad luck where the ground ball goes. But I think Tim Hill is who he is.
Yeah.
He's not going to walk you. He's not going to give up a homer. The ball's going to be on the ground a lot. Does it find holes or not? He's the one guy I would say, yeah, I'm fine. He's a lefty in my bullpen. Cruz is incredibly talented. It's too much ball one, ball two. Duvall's incredibly talented, but like there is a concentration issue there about how he throws, remembering that there's base runners, remembering that there's a pitch clock that feels very untrustworthy to me. Is Hedrick had just a bad week, or did we just see his best month and it's not coming back? And the problem is like, if not them, who?
Right.
And so they've got to kind of solve it with this group. Uh, and I don't know if they could solve it with this group. And I don't think they're going to fold starters into relievers this soon into the season because you're always just one injury away from needing Lagrange in your rotation or to keep going with Weathers. That is a August, September thing. And
So
so
you would say that's the timeline on pulling that lever, not in the next
yeah,
month.
like would you like we just saw how quickly something could go bad with Max Fried. Do you not want the option of it's worse not to have a starter than not to have a reliever? And so I think you have to run 4 months of the season with all your guys as starters, and then
So
for
here
the
here
stretch run, think about putting a guy in the bullpen.
can I ask you a question here? So this is like the internal, right? The politics of how you'd want to make these levers pull and stuff. Let's say if you did say Legrand, we really love his velocity, and we understand he's a starter, but we're converting him to the reliever here just for this year because we're all in on this year. Couldn't you pivot and take a Yarbrough or take a Blackburn, convert them into a starter if another starter goes down? Hey, we're going to stretch you out now. Like you're getting a run here the next 2-3 weeks until we get other starters back, and now we're going to keep building you up. Bring up Legrand because that power is going to play more into the bullpen for us in the back end. Feels like there's a pivot there because right now in their current situation, Blackburn and Yarbrough have not performed well in those spots that they've been asked to be put into the game.
So I think that Blackburn and Yarborough were signed as placeholders, not as I think if we had
Not like 6, 7 starters.
yeah, well, as 6, 7 starters for a period of time
Right.
till Rodon and Cole return, and again, maybe till the All-Star break. I think if we had Brian Cashman and his guys here on Truth Serum and said, on the day you signed Yarborough and the day you signed Blackburn, did you envision they'd be guys who were on your roster on September 1st? I think they'd say, in the best light, no. Like we know we're paying them $2 million each to help us survive a period of time. because the worst thing that can happen to you is not to have starting pitching available. Now, they've survived most of that period of time because Rodon is back and Cole is close, but they've lost Fried. And you
Yeah,
just like there's still a lot of season to go. And you
100%.
don't want to give up your depth yet. And to me, you don't want to change Lagrange yet because I just think once you do, you don't like you do have to deal with this reality, Ryan. He might not be good at it. Like, what if he's not good at it? Now you turn around and say, okay, now go back to being a starter. Am I putting him at risk of injury? I do want to build up his innings because he might be in my rotation next year. And so, like, I want to get to 100, 110 innings with him
Hmm.
as a starting pitcher this year so that it's just, I'm following a traditional road here. If you go back and, like, look, I think the Brewers would tell you that the team they thought had the best chance to win the World Series of this current group was it 2020 when they had Peralta, Woodruff, and Burns in the bullpen. 2019, someplace in there. I think they lose to the Dodgers in 7 games. And they had converted them all, but it was late. And I think that that is the model for the Yankees. Is if I
Okay.
was looking at a team, it would be those guys. And like now we're attacking with we're playing tournament baseball. Who are our 13 best arms? We're putting them on the staff. That feels like an August 1st on decision. That is not good for the overall health of the organization if you start changing starters into relievers on May 18th. I think that is a mistake. In also like it fits a little into the Rice catching or Bellinger in center field. To chase success in a place I'm having a problem, I'm going to remove a strength. Right? Nothing. AJ Hinch said this to me in spring training, and I have cited it often. We ask less of starting pitchers than ever before. And so you think they matter less until you run out.
Hmm.
And then, because like in some ways, his Detroit team just spent about 2 weeks, and we saw it in the Mets series, having run out. They only had two really healthy starters. And now they got Mize back over the weekend. I think they're going to get Melton back soon. I think Verlander after that. They're going to get closer to whole. But the point is, like, when you don't have that, and so I think they'll hold on to Yarborough and Blackburn a little longer. They'll keep their starters a little longer, and they're going to ask these relief pitchers which used to be their strength, that they could fix these kind of players. The last 2 years, it hasn't manifested like it did for about a 10-year period for them, where they
Yeah.
really did great of finding guys on the margin and turning them into Tim Hill and Clay Holmes and Jake Cousins and a bunch of guys who really helped them over Luke Weaver, who helped them over a period of time. I think that they're going to have to solve it with this group. And by the way, Ryan, it's tenuous. They're going to lose some games because of it. And the question is, this was a bad road trip. If their bullpen had just been a little below average
Right.
on this road trip, they go 4-5, and
Four and five.
you and I are having a different conversation. If the bullpen is good, they might go 5-4 or 6-3. The bullpen is the reason they went 2-7 pretty
Yes.
much on this road trip. Like it was an F for the bullpen. If it was a C minus, you and I would be doing a different show today.
100%.
So the question is, do you believe this bullpen
Is an F or it
is
could be a C, maybe?
I think they can hold on at C,
Okay.
letter C,
Hmm.
for a couple of months here, uh, and then they know they're going to have to find one or two in the marketplace and turn one or two starters into relief pitchers. But I think it's just dangerous to
Okay.
begin to hit at your starting pitching depth with 110 games left in the season.
Fair enough. It's interesting that those
And
pieces are there.
you got to avoid emotional decisions.
Totally.
When there's like an emotional decision is just put Bellinger in center field, just put Rice behind the plate, just turn a starter into a reliever. It's an emotional decision to say, I'm in third place in the marathon at mile 5 and begin to sprint. And now you're in first place, but now you have 19 miles left in the marathon. And what do you have left? And so like you do, there's a lot of noise now. We create some of it by doing stuff like this. And you have to be able to fight off the noise about what's really important. Like it's really important that Cody Bellinger has a great year and Ben Rice has a great year and starting pitching remains a strength. And it's my job as an organization to self-help and make some of the weaknesses better internally until July 31st. I think it's August 3rd this year, actually, the trade deadline, till August 3rd, when I could really do something externally.
I am looking forward to this marathon continuing on, Joel. For Joel's notebook, quick, little birdie told me that you're going to have a certain Yankees pitcher on the show today. I just wanted to know, like, what are you most looking forward to getting out of that? Because this Pinstripe Post will air before the show, and I'm just interested to hear what are you most excited to talk about with said pitcher, I should say.
So we're doing this beforehand. So like I might say this and he might oversleep or forget about us. So I'm always concerned. But Cam Schlittler is supposed to join us, join me and John this week. I find him really interesting. Uh, I think I've had this conversation with a lot of people in the last 10 days is where I could just say, I really think he's much sharper than everybody thinks he is. Like, because I think he comes off as a little bit like modern, like macho and braggy and a little goofy. And I think he's in on the joke. I I think he's a sharp kid. Uh, it would suggest to learn so many new pitches that there's a sharpness to him. Uh, And I don't know. I have lots of stuff I want to ask him. I mean, I talk to him with some regularity because I do find him interesting. Uh, but just like maybe where it comes from. Like he has met every challenge.
Yeah.
I wrote about this after the game on Friday night when you and I were probably looking at doing a different kind of show after the game on Friday night.
Yes.
But like if you think about you're a Yankee fan, Ryan, right? Like what's your boxes that has to be checked? Well, first of all, you have to be good, just generally good. But then like within good, you better be able to go up to Fenway and win a game, right? Like be able to like handle that. All right, check. You better be able to really rise in October and like put the team on your back. Like Orlando Hernandez isn't going to the Hall of Fame, but he's a Yankee Hall of Famer because you could give that dude the ball and he could put your team on its back. So Schlittler, as a rookie, check.
Hmm.
Probably third on the list is, hey, if you're playing the Mets during the regular season, I'd rather not deal with my knucklehead friend who's a Met fan and have to take crap, right? So you'd want him to be able to pitch well against the Mets. Well, Friday night, he was the dominant force in the game. And so there goes a check. Uh, and we've reached the point, he's getting close to almost a full season of pitching now. He's up in about the mid 20s in starts. It's as good as anybody in the live ball era has ever pitched for 25-ish starts for the Yankees ever. Uh, it's pretty impressive. I think we've moved beyond the potential that it's a fluke. Uh, you know how health is. You know how health is for pitchers. You know how health is for pitchers who throw as hard as Cam Schlittler. So there's always some breath holding. But can I say selfishly that I hope Nolan McLean and Cam Schlittler figure out a way to stay healthy for a really long
Oh,
time?
yes.
Because when I go to the ballpark, I kind of want it to be fun
Yeah.
and interesting or historic, like whatever thing. And when McLean and Schlittler pitch, it's fun.
It's a
It's fun.
treat.
It's interesting. It's the both of them are starting to touch some history of their teams and such, like best starts through so many games in for the Mets, that's really something when you consider the Seavers and the Kuzmins and the DeGroms and Goodins, etc.
Goodens, yeah.
Like what McLean's doing. So it's just, I don't know. I hate injuries.
Yeah.
And I want to, I hate it in all sports. Like I want, the Knicks series starts Tuesday night. I hope Anunoby's healthy enough to play. But here's the thing also. I hope none of the players on Cleveland get hurt. I
Yeah,
want to
no.
see the best play. I always want to see the best play in anything I'm watching or covering. And so I hope they did those two guys. Those two guys have kind of come along out of no place. McLean, I had some buzz, but he still was a second round draft choice who was a two-way player. And what's he going to do? And I mean, he's really good. And I mean, Schlittler is just like came out of nowhere pretty much. It's really, they're great stories. And hopefully I'm a story guy. And I hope they both figure out ways to stay healthy and, every 5 days bring some electricity to their teams.
No doubt, with Cam, it's so easy the velocity he throws with, and he's such a big kid. You look at him; he's so big and massive. He has a good presence on the mound, a great presence on the mound, I should say.
So,
Uh,
and look, again, relievers are relievers for a specific reason. If you could start, you would start. There's a lot more money and prestige starting. Oftentimes, you're a reliever because you have some command issues. Like one of Schlittler's issues, like early as a starter with the Yankees, was a lot of pitches, walking guys. Like now, he's like, well, until somebody proves that they can hit the ball, I'm going to throw it over the plate. And so far, it's really hard to hit him even when it's over the plate.
yeah, and he doesn't walk many batters either, which is
No,
also fun.
no.
Like,
Not a lot of walks, not a lot of homers. It's hard. If you don't walk guys and you don't give up homers, it's obviously he did it at the highest level possible, but it's the Mariano Rivera thing.
yeah,
It's the Jacob deGrom, Greg Maddux thing.
yeah.
Like, good luck trying to get three singles before I get three outs with this stuff.
Joel, we're looking forward to that conversation later. And as always, we appreciate you hopping on here talking Yankees baseball. We'll see how it goes against Toronto, and we're looking forward to catching up with you next week, man.
All right, Ryan, all the best. Thanks for watching, everybody.